Hello and welcome to another video. This time I am going to be showing you all of the books that I gave 5 stars to in 2023. So I'm currently reading book 71 of the year. And what we are now, the 18th of December. So I'm definitely going to finish another one before the end of the year. Possibly 2, I don't know, we'll see. But out of those 71, I have given, I think it's 16 books 5 stars. So I thought I would show you. There's going to be no particular order to it. I'm just going to pick them up from the pile that I have next to me. So first of all, we have Winnie the Pooh by A.A. Milne. Is that how it says? Milne? So obviously everyone knows the Winnie the Pooh story. And this is obviously a reread because I obviously read it when I was younger. But as an adult, I had heard that there's a lot of quotes in Winnie the Pooh that are just, you know, uplifting and beautiful. So I thought I would give it a go and yeah, give it a little read. And this one has like really gorgeous illustrations in this book as well. So obviously I know it's a children's book. This obviously could be read in one sitting. And it was a 5-star reading again because I absolutely loved it. I think it's obviously very different reading it as an adult. And I know that everyone knows the story of Winnie the Pooh, so I don't need to go into that detail, but there's just something very sweet and wholesome about, you know, these, it's like a found family type of thing. And there's such, like, they have such strong connections and they're all there for Eeyore, even though he obviously has depression. And I think we could just learn a lot from Winnie the Pooh, I really do. So yeah, obviously it's a 5-star read. We've then got The Christie Affair, obviously very different. The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont. So this follows, it's like a fictional take basically on the 11 days of when Agatha Christie went missing. So we all know that there were 11 days was Agatha Christie was alive that she went missing, and this is a fictional take on that. So if you're going into it thinking it's going to be all about Agatha Christie, it's actually not. It's actually about her husband's mistress, Nana Dear, and it follows her point of view, and it's basically her telling us as the reader what happened to Agatha Christie in those 11 days. And I just thought it was so well done, and it was such a clever take because obviously the author has decided to write about, you know, something that had actually happened, but nobody knows the truth of. Nobody ever found out how or why Agatha Christie went missing. So this is a fictional take on it. And I just think it was just really well done. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was brilliant. And I do obviously love the whole Agatha Christie world. So I would obviously definitely recommend it. I would recommend all of these books because I gave them 5 stars. So of course I recommend them. And then we've got Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. So this was everywhere on Instagram, so I thought I'd pick it up and give it a go. So there are also very mixed reviews on this because there are some people that just absolutely dislike this book and think it's really poorly written. I personally just absolutely loved it. So you've got this coffee shop in Japan, and the idea is that you can go in there and you can see, almost like travel back in time to see a loved one who has passed away. But the catch is that obviously it has to have been someone that's visited this coffee shop in the past anyway. So you can go back and see them again. And I think that's just such a lovely idea, I really do. And the thing is, there is a rule that you have to make sure you're back before your coffee gets cold, otherwise you get trapped. And it's following 4 separate stories. I mean, there's a bit of repetition within the cafe throughout, to be fair, but you do have 4 completely different stories in a way. I think you've got like 2 sisters, a husband and wife, that kind of thing. Yeah, so it's husband and wife, the lovers, I believe it's mother and child, and the sisters. So yeah, I was bawling my eyes out. I really was. It hit me big time. You kind of obviously just see their lives, as it were. But I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Even though obviously there is mixed reviews, I was one of those that absolutely loved it. And then we have Written in Blood by Chris Carter. I need to stop saying and then we have. So Written in Blood by Chris Carter. If you haven't tried a Chris Carter book yet, I would definitely say go and try a Chris Carter book. However, Chris Carter does not hold back on the gore. So all of the details are in this. So yeah, there's no holding back. So if you're, you know, a bit faint-hearted, you're probably not going to enjoy this very much. But I personally absolutely loved it. I love a Chris Carter book. He just does thrillers so well. And this one in particular is about a woman called Angela Wood, who is a pickpocketer, thief, that type of thing. And one day she sees this guy in this bar or restaurant. He's just been really nasty to someone. So she decides that she's going to teach him a lesson and steal his bag. And when she gets home, she realises that it was probably not the best bag to steal, because inside it is a journal, but not any journal. It is like a detailed diary entries from a serial killer, and it gives details on how he killed people, where the bodies are, all of that. So she drops it off at the police station, and they realise that this is real because they find the first body and they realise that this is a serial killer they're going to be going after, and they need to try and stop him before someone else gets down, like, you know, killed off. But also he's kind of figured out that this Angela Wood person has stolen his journal. And so Angela Wood is finding herself, you know, possibly being the next victim. And we have Robert Hunter, who is the, what is it? Is he the DI detective? Yeah. He's obviously on the case, but it's very tense. It's very tense. And I just love Chris Carter's work. So yeah, try Chris Carter book if you haven't already. And then we have, I did it again, and then we have, right, Dark Matter Ghost Story by Michelle Paver. I actually read this in an afternoon, and I thought it was absolutely superb. It is very creepy. So in this, we have, what was his name? Jack. So it's set in London, 1937. We have Jack. He's poor, lonely. He's desperate to change his life. So someone says to him, look, we're doing this expedition to the Arctic. Come along. So he does. He goes along. And there's 3 of them out there in the middle of nowhere. And they're in this, almost like a hut in the middle of nowhere. And one of them gets injured. So basically the other 2 go to get in the boat. They go to the mainland, and Jack finds himself all alone on this Arctic expedition. But he starts to realise that actually he might not be fully alone, but it's not in a human form. There's like some ghostly people out there in the middle of nowhere in the Arctic. It's very isolating. I tell you what, this book was very tense and very creepy. I absolutely loved it. It's perfect for reading in October. Next, there is Alice in Wonderland. So by Lewis Carroll. This is obviously a reread as well, like Winnie the Pooh. It's actually in the reading challenge list for the Rory Gilmore reading challenge, which has like 350 odd books on there. And I've like decided that I'm going to try and work my way through that list, as you do. And this is on there, so I decided to reread it. I kind of just forgot just how brilliant this book is. Obviously, again, you probably all know the story of Alice in Wonderland, and this is the, what's it called? Wordsworth. This is the collector's edition, and it's just absolutely stunning. I love it. I'm actually going to get this whole collection. They do so many books that are this collector's editions, and a lot of those books are on the Rory Gilmore reading list, so we're picking them up. But obviously, a 5-star read, even if it's a reread. Then we have The Brutalist by M.W. Craven. There's a lot of tabs in this. So if you've been following on my Instagram channel, you may know that M.W. Craven is one of my go-to authors. I absolutely love this series. This is the, what is it, fifth book in a series. The sixth one is coming out June, July time in 2024. And there is like a short novella as well that I've got, which is also following the same characters. So this is classed as the Washington Poe series, and it's following him and an unlikely companion, as it were, in solving crimes called Tilly Bradshaw, who is someone very intelligent and is able to do anything cybercrime related, like to stop cybercrime. And you kind of see this relationship from the very first book in the very first book. You kind of see this relationship form because Tilly Bradshaw is bullied. She's quite different and very much an outcast, and you see Poe Washington basically stand up for her. And then you just see such a lovely friendship. They are definitely my favourite duo in any series, and every single book in the series that I've read so far has been a 5-star read for me. I definitely recommend the series, I really do. The first one is The Puppet Show. That's book 1. So definitely read from the beginning, in my opinion. You'll absolutely love it. You can read it as a standalone, but you would love it more reading the whole series. Next we have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. For some reason, I think Taylor Jenkins Reid is just such a brilliant author. So she's just a unique way. So all of her books have this fictional famous person. And it's like we are hooked because we just love the gossip. Us readers love the gossip. When it comes to like celebrity gossip, we want to know if it's someone, obviously not all the celebrities, but like someone that we're really keen on. And that's kind of like the take that Taylor Jenkins Reid's books do. You know, that it's what she does. So she has a fictional famous person, and yeah, creates this like, they've always got some sort of problems. They've all got problems, and you're kind of just wanting to find out more about this main character. So in this one in particular, we're following Evelyn Hugo, who is this like famous movie star. She's like a Hollywood icon, and she's actually been married 7 times, and she's never really done any interviews or anything like that. And she then chooses this magazine reporter, who's like a very unknown magazine reporter called Monique, to write her story. And so Monique is a bit like, wow, okay, yeah, of course. And the whole idea is that Monique wants to find out who Evelyn Hugo's one true love was. And there's also like some, like towards the end, you start to figure out some connection between them as well. And I just was absolutely hooked. I thought it was superb. So yeah, obviously it was a 5-star read. The Hunted. This is by Gabriel Barbosa. This is also another one that I read in an afternoon when I was doing like a little readathon in October. And this is a 5-star read for me because it was so tense and had me hooked. It really did. So in this book, we are following Frank, and he owns a service station that's out in the middle of nowhere in the outback of Australia. And his granddaughter, Ali, comes to stay with him. And they're in this service station, and a couple turn up, and they're basically eating food in the service station. And next minute, this woman comes flying in, and she is absolutely covered in blood. She's been injured, and then she just collapses. So these 4 people in the service station, so Frank, his granddaughter, and this couple, they decide they need to help this woman. I think her name is Maggie. Or is it Maggie? So they've decided that they need to help her. So they take her to Frank's house, which is just over the hill from the service station. So it's like really close, but you can't quite see it from the service station. And what they don't realise is that the people who had originally hurt Maggie are still after her. And it becomes this like standoff. And there's very much Deliverance vibes. If you watch Deliverance, you will know what I mean. It's this very small town with this very tight-knit community. And this community in particular like to hunt humans. It's very messed up. It's, yeah, very odd and bizarre, but it was so tense, and I really was on the edge of my seat. I'm not just saying it. I literally was like, I need to know what's going on. So I basically sat and read it in one sitting. I thought it was brilliant. I really did. And it's set in the outback of Australia, and just everything about it was absolutely superb. So if you're looking for a tense read, then this is definitely the one for you. Here it is, Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. So this is the second book in the duology of Six of Crows. This book had me crying my eyes out at the end. I don't think I've seen an ending done so well, or as well as this book. So obviously we knew that it was only ever going to be a 2-book series, and so it ended in a way that you know it's the end. And my gosh, if you read the first book and then you're reading this book, definitely read the first book first. This follows straight on from the first book. They're quite thick, but my gosh, they're worth it. They are so worth it. Honestly, where do I even begin with this book? So the first one is following Kaz, and him and these 5 others are all they're all misfits, and they basically have this like found family type of thing going on, and there's like relationships between the 6 of them, like, yeah, all that kind of thing. And they just come together and they work so well together. And in the first book, they're actually going out to save someone from this very highly secure prison. There's like some magical stuff going on. It's a fantasy, all of that. This follows directly on from the last one. So after the heist, as it were, that's based in the first book. Definitely loved this book more than the first book. The first book was 5 stars. This obviously is 5 stars. I read Six Crows last year. This book, it's absolutely amazing, but the ending has me crying. And I was actually camping with friends, and we'd had a messy Friday night, and I was feeling a bit worse for wear on the Saturday. So at one point I just took myself, just like sat apart from everyone and just buried my head in a book just to like chill out a little bit. It was towards the end of this book, and I just sat there crying, and they were all just like coming over to me like, "You all right?" This book. So yeah, the ending will get you. It really will, but it's so worth it. It's such an incredible book. I absolutely loved it. And then Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This is another one that was very much mixed reviews. I personally absolutely loved it. So this is more like going down like the sci-fi genre possibly. We're basically set, when are we set in this? So it's the year 2044, so it's in the future in America, and basically the real world has become an ugly place. It's out of oil, it's wrecked the climate, there's famine, poverty and disease everywhere, and they're all basically living in like trailer parks, but the trailer parks are all like, the trailers are all stacked up on one another, because there's just no housing, there's nowhere for people to live, and everyone is poor, so they can't even afford to get a house. So it's horrendous living conditions. So everyone kind of takes themselves into this VR, like they all have VR headsets, and they take themselves into this VR world. And this world is called Oasis. And when the owner of this Oasis company passes away, he basically appears in everyone's VR sets. Now, everyone has them. I mean, they're doing their school through VR. And he basically says that he's hidden these Easter eggs in the game, and people have to try and find each one. They have to do some challenges, and whoever wins or gets to the end, they basically have all of his money. They take over the company. So it's a big thing. So all of the people in the real world are looking for these Easter eggs in the VR world, and we're following Wade, and it's intense. He ends up having people coming after him in the VR world, but also in the real world. And yeah, you basically are trying to see him survive in a way, but it's just so cleverly done. It's absolutely superb. I absolutely loved how this was done. Yeah, but I have seen that, you know, some people aren't keen on it, but I loved it. I think also it's a lot of references to the 1980s as well in this. So I think that's why, I don't know, I loved it. I just absolutely loved it. I thought it was so well done, so well written, and just really, really clever. I loved how he went between the real world and the VR world following Wade, and how he was like a completely different character in the VR world because he was obviously more confident, and it was just, everything about it. I thought it was superb. I really did. Now we have Fearless by M.W. Craven. So obviously the same author as Britannis, but this is a whole new series. So I know I just said about the Washington Poe and Tilly Bradshaw series. This is a whole new series following someone called Ben Koenig, and he's like ex-SAS, and he's basically been missing for 6 years because he took himself away, because he was kind of making his team be quite vulnerable, because he has this condition where he is pretty much fearless, and obviously it was not doing great for him and his team when he was like ex-SAS and on these missions. So yeah, he goes off. Anyway, his old boss and former friend finds him, even though he's been well hidden from all these people that have been after him. I can't remember if he was like an assassin, as it were, or was it just that he basically hunted the bad guys, like the really bad guys. So he has all these bad guys after him, and is very tense. The amount of action in this book is absolutely superb. But anyway, his old boss and friend basically contacts him after 6 years of him being missing, well, like termed as missing, contacts him and says, my daughter has been kidnapped, and basically gets Ben Koenig to find his daughter. And the action in this book is superb. It's completely different to the Washington Poe series. The characters are completely different, as in like their characteristics are completely different. And I did kind of think I was a bit apprehensive about trying another series by M.W. Craven, because I was really concerned that I was only loving the other series because of those two particular characters. And maybe it was just in my head to always love those books in that series because of the characters. So I was concerned that I wasn't going to love any other books by M.W. Craven. But I tried it. I absolutely loved it. It was 5 stars. The next book in this series is coming out October time, I believe, in 2024. So I have 2 books each year now that M.W. Craven is releasing, which I can collect. Annoyingly though, the Washington Poe and Tilly Bradshaw series have to be in paperback, and this one has to be in hardback because I started the series that way. So now the whole series is going to have to be bought that way. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure lots of you can, understand that. We have The Hike by Lucy Clarke. So I actually read this when I was camping back in June, and we were doing a lot of hiking for a holiday. So each day we were hiking, and in the evening I was reading this. So this follows 4 friends, and every year they do a holiday together. And then this one particular year, one of them's like, right, we're going to do this hike. We're going to go into the Norwegian forest, and we're going to hike up this mountain. So it means going for 3 days, or 3 nights with a tent, and hiking. But what they don't realise is that there's something lurking in the forest, and it becomes tense. And I absolutely love books where you are along with the characters on a journey. So if we're like following them on this journey, and I can picture everything, and it's like we're there with them, then I absolutely love it. So that's why this book just was great, in my opinion. Solely for that reason. It was like I was there, travelling through these Norwegian woods on this hike, and it was terrifying as well, to be honest. It was quite terrifying. Yeah, very tense. Absolutely superb. And then a book that I think is going to be probably on loads of people's 5-star read lists this year is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Of course. I think everyone knows or has heard about this book. Some people are just not reading it because of the hype. I was one of those at the beginning. I ended up reading this in June because I was like, do you know what? I need to try it out. I'm not a massive fantasy person. I'm not a massive romance person. And this is obviously big on both. But my gosh, I don't think there's a single negative you can say about this book. It was absolutely superb. I have read the second one, Iron Flame. That was not a 5-star read for me. That was a 4.5. I liked it. it just was not the same for me, and I didn't love it as much as Fourth Wing. So if you don't know, this follows Violet, and she has, is it ESM? So it's something to do with your joints and your muscles, I believe, and it's quite painful. So she was always destined to be a scribe in this academy. So basically in the library with all the books. And her mother, who wasn't a very nice mother, basically forces her to become a trainee for a dragon rider. So in a completely different quadrant in this horrendous academy, where you are basically just there to try and survive your first year. That is, yeah, this book. It's horrendous, the academy, to be honest, completely honest. And you're seeing her not only survive the first year, but she has to link with a dragon, and even the dragons in this book are characters within themselves, and they talk, and they're just amazing. And then there's this romance that appears, everyone probably knows about, that I absolutely loved. So yeah, I could not fault this book at all. The second one, it has some negatives, but the first book, Fourth Wing, had no negatives for me. I absolutely loved it. I will continue with the series. I think I will get the book 3, but if book 3 is anything like book 2, then I won't continue. But you don't have, I don't think you have to read the whole series. I really don't. Obviously there's only 2 books at the moment. It's going to be 5 books, I believe. But I would definitely say read the first book. Just do it. I don't think you'd be disappointed. I just absolutely loved it. For someone who's not into fantasy, or not, maybe it's the people that are fully into fantasy that's not liking it. I don't really know. But yeah, for someone that's not fully into fantasy or romance, and to absolutely love this book, you know, I just think it had to be good to some. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it had to be good, didn't it? Let's be honest. So obviously it was a 5-star read. And then lastly, I'll show you both of these together. So Mina Lima is a man and woman who actually designed a lot of the props and artwork and different things for the first Harry Potter film. And they ended up going on and producing their own studio, which is the Mina Lima Studio. And they have released, they've got 3 out so far. So we've got this one, which is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And we've got Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So both of these I have read this year. Both of them are 5-star reads. The third book, which is The Prisoner of Azkaban, I do have that copy. I got it for my birthday last month. And I'm hoping to read it before the end of the year. But I'm only halfway through a very thick book at the moment. So I'm not 100% sure whether I will get to that before the end of the year. We shall see. But these 2 I read this year, and both of them are 5-star reads. I would definitely recommend checking out the Mina Lima website, because there we go. If you see that, that's how you, I don't know if it's back to front on there. Yeah, so it's basically illustrated throughout. But then there's like things like this letter is in there. There's like pop out bits. It's just absolutely stunning. Every single page is stunning. And I just, look at that stack of books on that one. Honestly, I just absolutely love these books. They do as well, not just Harry Potter books. They also have, I believe, Sleeping Beauty, Peter Pan, those as well. That have been done the same range, like the same style. So obviously illustrated with pull out bits, all of that. Obviously it's probably aimed for children, you know, but hey, you know, absolutely love it. I just think they're so stunning and so beautiful. So hopefully I get the third one this year as well. We shall see. But these 2 I did read this year, and they both made it to 5 stars. So obviously, you know. So yeah, those are the books. All of the books that I gave 5 stars to this year. So 16 out of 71 were 5-star reads. That's not too bad, to be fair. Average wise, that's quite good. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will be back very soon with another one. and this is going to go up before Christmas. So have a very lovely Christmas and a happy new year, and I will see you in the next video.